Hi, this is Jane.
Hi, I'm Zoe.
I'm George.
And I'm Sharia.
And this is HealQuail. So while going through data sets, we noticed that racial disparities in healthcare access are well documented. Yet many individuals, including us, are not aware of the full extent to which racial inequities actually affect healthcare outcomes. So if you look at the graph on this side of our slide, you can see that HIV diagnoses rate are very spread out differently across different racial groups. So our solution was to create HealQuail, a website spreading awareness of racial inequity in healthcare using accessible and interactive figures and resources for those who want to take an extra step.
So how we created our website, we made it in HTML, JavaScript, and CSS. Specifically, we used the Vega Lite JavaScript library. It allowed us to create the interactive graphics. It was easy to deploy and easy to work with, and it was very quick. We used MATLAB to process our data beforehand and to draw some of the conclusions and learn more about the inequities before we made our website. So all hackathons, especially good ones, will run into some challenges. And so a couple of things we ran into as first timers were we weren't sure exactly what approach to take when creating our project. We tried a couple of things before choosing on one finally. We tried the Flask web framework. It's a Python framework. We tried React. And then we ended up settling on this JavaScript library because it allowed us to create the graphics quickly and it allowed us to work well with the knowledge we had. The data also had to be processed. There were a lot of extraneous results. Our graphs were a bit wonky at times because some of the data wasn't always documented the same way or correct. So we had to go through it and individually recognize those errors and fix them. And then finally, it was our first time working with any sort of super large Excel file and data visualizations. So we had to try and learn as we go and adapt to different situations. And we were all able to do that, and we learned quite a bit today and yesterday.
Okay, let's move on to the demo. This is HealQuail, which is the website we made. On the left, you can see two different selections, so we decided to filter it by location and health indicator. So as you can see, from the data set, we pulled out 26 different locations. I'm just going to pick a random one, and then we can choose a random health indicator as well. And we chose to visualize it with a bar and line graph just in case the users wanted to interact with it differently or visualize it differently. So as you can see, it's split into different racial groups, and the racial disparities are quite high. We can also switch it into a line graph and notice how as you hover over, you can see specific values. I'm going to choose a different location just for demo purposes, and then we can again visualize the line graph with different data sets and then go back to the bar graph and we can see new data. You can also click over to interact with the bars themselves. Alright, and then in the middle here we have our mission statement, and at the very bottom we have two different buttons which you can click on. So data information is basically how we collected the data, retrieved it, analyzed it, and then some other disclaimers. And then at the bottom there are more external resources. Just in case the user wants to learn more or take initiative, this is the place to go.
So
in the future, we hope to expand our website's ability to affect change. So the first of our three proposals is to create an interactive map. Currently, if you want to access a city, you have to click a drop-down menu and then click the city. In the future, we just want a map of the US. And the cities will be geographically represented on this map. If you want information about the city, just click on the map. You don't need to use the drop down. Second thing we want to do is augment our list of resources. Our current resources are not specific to any of the given cities. In the future, with more time, we'll add more resources so that when you choose a city, the resources specific to that given city will appear. And our third change is we want to do more data analysis. Our current graphics are good for visualization, but they don't do much to actually analyze the data. In the future, we want to use more quantitative methods to measure how race disparities can affect healthcare outcomes. And among these methods might be like the chi-squared method, for example, so we can better quantify the degree to which healthcare outcomes are affected by racial disparities.
So thank you. You can check out more information on our dev post. If you have any other questions, please feel free to let us know. We'll be happy to answer them. And we look to expand HealQuail in the future and hopefully address some of these racial inequalities. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us and try and check out and play with HealQuail. You can find the link on our dev post.